At some point in our lives, we all kind of realize that our self-worth isn't outsourced from other people. That's why it's called self-worth. Hi, I'm Carmi. This is Inside Edition. Your reminder that there's nothing wrong with you. You are just human, and unfortunately, so am I. So I don't know if it came from maturity, but I remember literally thinking that how others perceived me was who I truly was, and I was maybe biased in some sort of way, but now that I say that out loud, that sounds really ridiculous, because it's the other way around. You know, they are the one who is biased. How other people perceive me is based on what they prefer in life, you know? So if I were to try to behave in a way that they might like, then I'm basically living my life based on someone else's preferences. Oh, hell no! Excuse me, let me snatch that back. This is my life. This is my life. Since when was I following a life tutorial? No, I'm a big girl. I can figure it out myself. I can handle it, okay? But with that being said, I definitely still have moments where I'm a little bit scared, or maybe even a lot of bit scared of disappointing people. I mean, humans are social creatures. We want to connect, we want to belong, we don't want to be left to fend for ourselves. It's kind of a survival instinct, you know? But disappointing people is kind of complex if you think about it, because there's so many ways to approach it, because it's definitely not ideal to fear disappointing people every time, like all the time, but it's also not good to not fear it at all and constantly disappoint people and then turn into the ignorant asshole that no one wants to be around, you know? So you have to kind of still fear it, but strategically, selectively play it by ear, sort of. But I guess that's not really a helpful advice if you don't know how to play it by ear. So it's important first, I would say, to figure out your values, right? Because what would you respect about how other people behave towards you? A good way to put it would be, if someone did this to you, would you still respect that person's behavior? Would you still respect them as a person? Let's think of a hypothetical situation, okay? Let's say you fear disappointing someone because suddenly you don't feel well and you have to cancel plans on them. Just think if the roles were reversed. If they told you suddenly, like, hey, I'm so sorry, like, I don't feel very well. Can we do a rain check here? I don't think you would be like, oh my God, you betrayed me. This friendship is over. No. But if they do react that way, if that's their reaction to you having to cancel plans, then good riddance, because that's not a person that you want to dedicate your energy to. That's not a true friend. That means that they just don't respect you as a person, and you don't want to be around them, okay? But disappointing people isn't easy, you know? Sometimes you'll get reactions from people, and they'll leave you like, oof, that low-key hurted. But when you know that your actions are coming from a values-based decision, then all it's really doing is eliminating what's not serving you, what's not aligning with your values. And if people can't respect that, that is their problem. That's just their problem. I'm sorry. I think a misconception is that disappointment could be rejection. No. A lot of us think that we're being abandoned off the face of the earth because someone's disappointed in us. But it's not really like that. It's just someone's expectations were not met. But you're not responsible for meeting their expectations, you know? You're responsible for living life, existing like a human being. Their expectations are up to them, okay? People can be disappointed in you and still love you, alright? But sometimes your nervous system will just panic and freak out and be like, okay, well, nobody loves me and I should just go. But that's not your nervous system probably just being a drama queen as per usual. We're human, whatever. I think it's also so important to realize that most people feel disappointed when they feel like they've lost a sense of control. And it's not because they're upset with you because you've done something wrong and you're a terrible human, you're a morally incorrect human and you're a bad person. No, usually most of the times it's not about you at all. It's mostly about them. they're upset because they had certain expectations that they wanted to happen, and their expectations weren't met. And so they feel like they have lost control in their life because they wanted to have some sort of reality that just didn't exist for them. And it didn't meet their expectations. It didn't meet their standards of how they wanted life to go, okay? They just feel a loss of control. And so they're frustrated, upset about that. So it's not really much to do about you. Let's say someone is a complete control freak. You will always disappoint them. Always. Because they are so needy about control. Let's say that they're like, hey, can you rap about like half of these presents while I decorate? And then you just start spitting some bars instead of wrapping up gifts, and the gifts are just unwrapped while you're spitting bars because you thought they said rap, as in spit bars about presents, but they said, can you wrap up about half of these presents? And so they get extremely upset about you. But that's not your fault. It was just a misunderstanding. If they're such a control freak, of course they're going to be disappointed in you. Their expectations weren't met. You thought you were just rapping about presents like Drake would rap about presents. But no, he meant or she meant wrapping up a gift like with a ribbon and some wrapping paper. You didn't know. You were still acting morally. You still care about people, of course, but how they respond and how they feel and internalize your actions, that's not your responsibility at all. That's up to them, okay? You can't control that. Also, sometimes people switch up, or maybe you switch up. Like maybe you used to be a people pleaser and you let people walk all over you like a carpet, and they loved walking all over you like a carpet, okay? They didn't admire you as a friend. They admired you because you were convenient to them, right? And maybe you realized that and you started prioritizing yourself and, you know, feeling confident, feeling good about yourself, just doing things for yourself instead of being a carpet. They're gonna be upset. They're gonna be disappointed because they're gonna be like, where is my carpet? You know, where do I put my feet? I need to walk somewhere, silly. But that's not your problem. They need to find a new carpet then, because you're no longer a carpet. And yeah, it'll feel weird at first. It might feel underwhelming, quiet, boring even, because you've just been overextending yourself for so long, people pleasing, and you're like a human rubber band that's just been stretched out to other people. But once you no longer have a person to latch onto, you're kind of just this loose rubber band that's no longer very elastic and feels kind of not very functional at all. But no worries, it just feels a little bit loose and awkward, and if you give it some time, you're gonna be nice and rubber bandy and elastic and back to normal again. I promise. You're actually probably gonna be more than back to normal. You're gonna be like the most perfect rubber band in the world. But be aware that also the same way that you'll disappoint other people, people will also disappoint you, and you just can't think too deeply into it. You know, humans are flawed. We aren't perfect. Life doesn't obey our expectations. It doesn't work that way. Things happen all the time. And while I don't completely agree with the saying everything happens for a reason, I do believe that everything happens the way it's supposed to. And so you can't choose what life throws at you, right? But you can choose how you respond. And that means sometimes being disappointed or people disappointing you, right? Wait, that's the same thing. Sometimes that means that you're gonna have to disappoint people, and then people will also disappoint you, right? But at the end of the day, we're all human, and we all gotta share this earth. We all live on it. But your life is yours to live. You don't have to share your authority with anyone on how you get to live your life, okay? That is yours. We got this earth, we gotta share it. We gotta be humans and like collect and populate and do human stuff and mess up and be weird. Okay, we're all human. But do not let anybody determine how you get to live your life. Because whose life is it? Whose life is it? That's right, it's yours. That's right, it's yours. Yup, okay. Well, thank you. Thank you so much for watching again. I had so much fun. I've always had such a great time here, and I can't wait to see you next Sunday. I love you.